Good afternoon. We're pleased to welcome you to the Washington Labs Academy webinar series. We hope you find the next hour or so useful and informative. We have developed our webinar series to deal with some of the technical and administrative issues our customers face on a day-to-day basis. We recognize that engineering challenges can be complex, and we're always looking for ways to support the technology industry. Before we begin, some housekeeping details. First, I hope everyone can see the title slide on their computer. A recording of the presentation is underway and will be sent to all attendees. A full screen view may be preferred. Your selection at your computer can be done using the menu panel. In the menu in your screen, go to View and then select Full Screen. We estimate the main bulk of the presentation will take about an hour. We welcome your questions. You can submit them to us via email, info@wll.com. And now I'd like to introduce our presenter, Mr. Ophir Benjamin Gamliel. Ophir is ITL's CEO since 2006. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Maryland and a Master in Computer Science and Communications from Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Ophir has a diverse global experience. He held positions in the U.S. as a senior engineer at Cisco Systems and at Sprint, and as a sales director at Nortel Networks in Virginia. Ophir has served as a senior manager at Cisco Systems Israel and vice president sales at Globecall, a subsidiary of IDB Holdings Company Limited. Ophir has led the opening of the market access to Israel to private laboratories by changing the regulation in Israel, working with the Israeli ministries and the parliament. So without further ado, let's roll up our sleeves and get into the Israel compliance with Ophir Gamliel joining us from Israel. Hello, Ophir.
Hello, Christine. Hello, Mike. Thanks for giving me the opportunity of presenting the historical change that has been done in Israel in introducing and opening the market for private laboratories and changing the law in Israel for competition. Since 2007 to 2016, we worked very hard with the Israeli parliament and the ministry to change the law and to open the competition for market access to Israel to private laboratories. In 2017, private labs has begun to compete and provide market access for importation to Israel. The opening up of the import access to private laboratory is as follows. First, a laboratory must be recognized as a laboratory for testing and certification and certificate of compliance according to the Israeli standard. Second, the laboratory must apply and get a status of approved laboratory to issue certificate of compliance for market access to Israel, which will help to send it to custom to clear custom. As you can see, Israel Testing Laboratory mark is ITL, as you can see it on the screen. Just a brief overview of ITL before we continue into the process of importation. ITL has been in the market for almost 27 years. The testing laboratory of ITL is ISO and IEC 17025. We were the first safety lab in Israel, established in 1992 by the A2LA under ILAC MRA. We're the first one in 2015 to become the first laboratory under the CB scheme, CBTL, under a US NCB. And then we became an ICEX, first and only laboratory still until now in explosive environment. ITL also hold a certification body, 17065, the first one and only one that operates under the Explosive Environment ICX in Israel. And in 2017, we became an NCB, first NCB of private laboratory in Israel. And we also the only one who is holding an IEC 17065 under A2LA. And that provides us the ability to provide customer with our ITL mark. We are also an inspection body within the ICX. We also are providing and doing inspection for OSHA and RTLs. And we are the first private inspection body for natural gas in Israel and for global partners who are working with us. Now, ITL recognition will help customers to get into Israel under the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Labor, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Communication, Ministry of Energy, and Ministry of Defense. Now we get into the import presentation. As you can see here, we have introduction, country guidelines, certification, conformity, import permit, shipment, conclusion, and question and answers. Today, we mainly concentrate in the area of electrical and electronic products, but other area is similar, but that's mainly the area of this presentation. Now, let's start. In Israel, there is no certification scheme. Any product for importation, any product entering Israel must comply with Israeli standard, mainly by testing the product. So we use mainly test report, which is sufficient to submit. Certification mark is not required for product entry. However, if you have a certification mark of an Israeli certification body, it will expedite the market entry to Israel by certifying your factory, which is being for products being entered into Israel. When you have a certification mark, the product is listed and there is a follow-up services at the factory. Just country overview. Obviously, Israel is located officially in Asia, which also Middle East. The rated voltage is 220 to 240, frequency 50 hertz. We are speaking in Hebrew, but most of the population understand English. The plug standard is Israeli standard 32, which is similar to the IEC 60884. In general, Israel standard adopting mainly international standard, and the tendency is to harmonize whenever is possible. And part of the change of the law is that each standard that needs to be changed must be signed by the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Treasury to make it harder to change standard in Israel. The main relevant ministries that for product entry are first the Ministry of Economy, Industry, Trade and Labor, and then the clearance through the Ministry of Finance. Medical product need to go through to get also additional certification or approval of Ministry of Health. The radio devices must accept also a clearance through Ministry of Communication. There is also energy rating for some of the products that go and has to go through the guidance of Ministry of Energy, and product who are actually being used on cars must go to the Ministry of Transportation, Road and Safety. For the import procedure, the import procedure has 4 stages. We start with stage 1, which to obtaining certificate of compliance for safety and EMC. In general, we can recognize certificate based on the CB scheme or MOU based on ILAC or CB scheme. In such scenario, test reports are being accepted and the COC is being issued based on this. However, testing is required when there is no agreement or a product is coming without an appropriate test report. Additional approval on top of this are as we said before, Ministry of Communication, Health, Energy and Transportation. And it is recommended to designate the importer name at this stage. However, it's not required at this stage, and some manufacturers who do not have at this point an importer name simply ask for COC, or Certificate of Compliance. Just to make life easier for importers, the global recognition work as follows. Based on a scheme, Israel is a member of the IEC scheme, IECE scheme, and ICEX scheme. So any report that bears and done in accordance to these schemes will be accepted with laboratory and certification body who are in this scheme in Israel, which ITL is the first private laboratory who is applied to this scheme. Again, then there is an MOU between labs who are based on the CB or labs who under ILAC. It has to be either ILAC or CB for the MOU. In addition, there is also MRA between countries such as the US, FCC, for example, Industry Canada in Canada. So there's countries with MRA with Israel, with the listed designated laboratories and certification body will be accepted. That's ITL partial list of partners, which we have signed an MOU on top of the CB scheme or any other schemes. Page 1, localization. There must be a plug that fits the Israeli standards. The plug, a customer who is bringing a sample for testing or for certification, COC, something that I haven't mentioned, we must see the sample even with report. We must see the sample. So the plug, a manufacturer can bring the plug with the product or can purchase a plug locally and bring it to us. Same goes with shipment. As far as operational user manual and safety instruction, it must be in Hebrew. You are not required at this point to provide us for the COC purposes, but it is recommended that if you have one, to provide it at this stage. It will save time later on. Stage 2, getting the import permit. Before actual shipping, the following is required. An importer may designate a local importer. The request for the import permit must be submitted with the name of the local importer. So it means that if a product has several importers, each importer gets its own import permits. However, the COC, the manufacturer can issue one COC, which multiple importers can use to apply and submit it to us. ITL can assist you if you don't have an importer. ICL can assist you to find a temporary importer until you have a main one. Stage 2, again, localization. Localization it's voluntary in stage 1 of the COC. However, it's required with shipment for import permit. Localization means that, such the user manual and the labels. Again, at time of import permit, you must submit to us operation and user manual and safety instruction in Hebrew. It can be one page of mainly operational manual for using the product, and it must be in Hebrew, and we can help you with this. In addition, at this stage, you must affix a label on the packing only, not on the product. On the packing of shipment, you should put manufacturer name, possible in English, manufacturer years, country of manufacturing in Hebrew, name of local importer in Hebrew, importer address in Hebrew, and registered trademark allowed to be placed in English. And as you can see here, we've placed an example of labeling to be used. Page 3, shipment verification. Upon arrival, each shipment is being verified by the designated laboratory. The designated laboratory picks up randomly one sample from the shipment at the importer's warehouse and bring it to the lab. We must do it. There is the regulatory of Ministry of Industry, Trade and Labor, and that we evaluate the sample. The sample will be verified against the originally tested product in which the COC was actually written for its authenticity, to make sure that the product is being shipped is similar to the product that was observed and tested originally. That will be done for every shipment and for every product. Stage 4, custom release. Compliance approval. We need to do compliance approval, and then the designated laboratory recommend a release from the custom electronically. And that was done after the previous stage, as we said. That now, hallelujah, then we actually electronically, the product will be released from custom. The custom will receive a clearance from us. As we said, you can choose to put one of the marks, and that will make it easier for faster clearance with us. But that's provided that you have manufacturers and a factory which send to Israel many products. It's worthwhile to do. There is also the possibility of affixing for marketing purposes certificate on one product, which goes under a different scheme. I go back, as you can see here, most of Israeli gas station for explosive environment and normal ordinary location is here affixed with the Israeli product, and we are using a usual C format for follow-up services. So I hope that clarified things to the audiences. We will be happy to help you to ship product very fast to Israel. We have the widest, we work with most ministries. So in addition to the EMC and test report, we must work with other ministry to help you. And we do have proactive customer support that can help you clear Israeli custom very quick. We have the expertise, experience, quality, and delivery that you need. Actually, the time has passed very fast, so I may go quickly through the need of actually energy efficiency. Uh, some products need energy efficiency, mainly refrigerator and um, air conditioning must be affixed with energy efficiency label, and we can accept a test report from under MOU, but most of the refrigerator and air conditioning are being tested here locally in Israel. Rest of products are mainly are being done mainly based on MOUs, and we can expand on it if you wish. We'll be more than happy to help. Uh, that's some of the requirement also for energy efficiency, and that's basically it. It's actually faster than I thought. There is also a process for which we can expand in next presentation to go through Ministry of Communication and to go through Ministry of Health, and we'll be happy to help you. You can send me an email to this email if you need any assistance, and you can go to our website if you need additional help. Thank you very much, Christine and Mike. And now we are open for questions as you wish.
Okay, thank you very much for taking time to discuss all of this compliance process with Israel. I do have a question. I'm curious as to how long that process was for you to lead the opening of the market access to Israel to private laboratories.
It was a very long process, and we have to go through many hurdles because the Sanat Institute of Israel was supported by the labor union and by the manufacturing association that wanted to protect the local industry. So it was quite a long way. It's like it was at least 9 to 10 years to go through all of these.
Wow.
And we finally, against all odds, managed to do it. There was a one minister who took it upon himself, and it was analyzed that importer will be, and the market itself will be saving it's like $500 million of Israeli shekel by opening the market for fast entry to Israel. So it was a long time, but we made it.
Yes, I would say. Hallelujah, right?
Right. Hallelujah.
Okay, well, again, thank you for all of your hard work and that decade in the making. It's culminated into a great Israeli compliance procedure. So,
and we will be happy. We will be happy to, if you wish to have additional session for other areas.
Okay, that sounds great. I appreciate everything. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I appreciate your help. Okay, thank you very much.